Hello, welcome to Greenwood Bonsai Studio today. Just wanted to show you what I'm working with today. This is a rock planting of dwarf Hinoki Cypress. Belongs to a customer. It was imported from Japan a number of years ago, and it's come to us for a little bit of a tidy up and a little bit of a style, just to get it back on track. We've got a few jobs to do to this tree today. It's mainly come in because the owner's concerned because there's a crack in the pot, which is round here. Look, it's not very big, but a bit of an issue, so it's come to be repotted. We've got a handmade Warsaw studio pot that she would like it to go into, so we're going to see if we can get it into that. All this fern has just been let to grow, so that's all sort of grown up a little bit too much. It's coming right up through here, so we need to trim some of that back. The trees themselves need a bit of a trim back. They're going quite bushy, so we need to try and thin those out a little bit. Around this side, this is all eroded a little bit, look. We've got roots just hanging out the side of the rock. So this wants filling in with some keto soil and some moss putting back on it. Same here, look, on this side. This is not going to be easy for the owner to water. There's still some mesh here, look, where it's been affixed. The trees have been affixed on. So we need to introduce some more growing compost to those areas. We need to weed it, tidy it up, and try and get it into a pot. So it's in here for a number of tasks, to be honest. And I'm hoping that we can get these trees just thinned out a little bit, so they don't look so over trimmed, but they have a little bit more definition to them. Because at the moment, you know, these are like balls of growth, aren't they? Really, see what we can do. Get in there, take out some little dead sections, and it's a little bit of a fiddly task to do. The thing that's probably a nuisance about it is swapping the pot. Apparently the owner thinks this is fastened into this pot by wire and potentially also cemented in or adhesived in or something like that. So I'm thinking we're going to deal with these ferns, deal with the trees first while it's nice and stable in this pot, and then try and get it out of the pot. Try and get this rock off this pot and into the new one. So we'll show you the process of that and see what it's like by the time we've finished it off. So to start off with these trees, you know, they are a bit of a jumble, aren't they? I haven't really addressed these before, so I think I need to get in there, pull out little sections of dead growth, little wispy bits of growth, just try to get them back to shape. They are a little bit of a nuisance to do. I think we can get some shape to them without having to wire them. A lot of this inner growth wants taking off in here, so some of this, it is difficult to see, isn't it, Josh, on the camera? Some of this stuff further back, we can thin some of that out to give us a bit more space to get some light in there. So I'm going to go through trying to do that, taking out little bits of growth in between these branches, and we'll see how we go with getting one of these done. I think I might have to trim these ferns out of the way first because they're just getting in the way. So, and then a little bit of pinching back and trimming these strong tips on these trees. We should be able to get them back into shape. So we'll come back in a while and we'll see how it's progressing. Okay, I'm just about 2/3 of the way through trimming of this rock planting, and just thought I'd show you how far we've got and show you the difference it's making to the trees. They are a bit fiddly. It does take some time to get into them and sort the structure of them out. But you can see here, I've essentially done them all now, apart from this one here and this one at the very top. So when you start trimming these, it's trying to get consistent density throughout. So this tree is the same sort of density as this one, this one, this one. You see the difference between these two here. They're both similar size trees. So this one's been thinned out. You can see the structure a little bit more, and it's been taken back in. This has all still got the long growth on it, bits of dead sections in here, and this is yet to be done. So this is it before, that's the after. Just got to do this one as well, and that'll be the end of trimming, and then I can have a look at whether we can actually get this out of the pot. But I thought I'd show you now, because you can see the difference between the before and the after. Because if you can't see it like this, then often it's hard to see how much has come off and what we've managed to achieve. And we'll be back in a little while with it all finished. Thank you. Okay, so we've done the preliminary thinning out of this tree. Next thing is see if we can get it out of this pot. And we're not really sure what we're going to find. There's a bit of movement on it here, look. When you rock the top of the rock, it moves a little bit. So I think it might just be wired in. There's two little wires. Can you see them, Josh? One's here, and this one. They're pretty tough. Copper wire. So with them cut and trimmed off, does it? Two more. Oh yeah. One here. So with that being quite thick and copper wire, that's probably doing quite a job of holding it in. Got a bit more movement to it. Oh, there we go. Yeah, let's have a look. I think we'll just go for lifting that out then and see what we've got. There we go. Bearing in mind, the customer had said we thought it was concrete or cemented in. It's not, but that's just a man-made rock. I've got a hole in the middle, look. I've just got a little bit of kiwi and akadama there, and then we've got some much tougher, like garden soil around the edge here, and a bit of broken down akadama there. So that's all a bit of a peculiar arrangement. So we'll clean this pot out, whether they use that for something in future. These are the pots that we've got for it, that the owners had made as a replacement. So Walsall Studio pots. So it's about a similar size, but a little bit deeper, a little bit darker, bit of a lip on it. So that's the one that it's going to go into. But we'll get this one out cleaned up. We'll have a tickle about of these roots, and we'll see if we can get it into that pot. And the other thing is how it was secured in. I've cut the wires underneath, but we'll have to have a look and see where these wires actually go, because they've got to go over something to make it secure. Whether there's actually some tie down points on this rock, I'll have a little fiddle about with that and we'll have a look, and we'll show you in a little while. Okay, so now the rock's out. This wire here, there's a hole in the artificial rock here, and on this side there's 4 where it actually goes through. You can see it clearer there, look. Well, it goes through the rock, and that's been used to anchor it down. So there's a template in the bottom of the old pot. You can see where they drilled extra holes, where they're drawn round the rock. Drilled 2, 4, 6 and 8. Now, we're almost prepared, because this pot, when it was made, had been requested to have extra holes drilled in it, but they put extra holes around the edge, but not extra holes where we actually need them to be. So, I've just drilled that hole, and this hole, so I should really have another one here and here, but I might be able to substitute if I just drill this one and use this hole that's already there. And then here, this one and this one I should need, but I might be able to just come off this one and drill this one. So I'm wondering if I can just drill that one there and this one here. So I'll try doing that. So just got a little tungsten carbide, little sort of no, it's not, I don't know what it is, somebody gave it me. It's like a diamond cutter, a little tip on that. I've worn one out already, so we'll have a go at drilling. We'll do this one because that's going to be an important one. So we'll have a go at doing that. There we go, that's fairly easy through there. We'll try and do another one here and then see if that will do us. Yeah, put some just in there, just another scoop. Right. So this next bit, there's no easy way. No, that will be enough, Josh. There's no easy way to do this, because either way we do this, it's going to be a proper nuisance of a job that we haven't done before with this particular rock. So the aim is for Josh to lift it and we get these two wires through here. Where the wires go through, I've took the old wires off and put some red and yellow cable ties through, so that we can see where those holes are a little bit more. Are you going to do it from around that side, Josh?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a good grip.
Right. Yeah. So if it looks like we're struggling with this, it's probably because we are, because it's a 3-man job and there's only 2 of us. Paul's filming, so we'll forget those wires for now, and we'll see. Right. So this way a bit. Right. That one's in. Down a bit. Oh, yeah, that one's in. Right, so rock it to me, forward. Right. Right. Now just hang on a minute, let's have a... Oh yeah. Yeah, can you do it? I've got the 2 in round this side. Yeah, I've got it. So we thought if we put the cable ties in, we'd be able to see where these wires need to go. We're using a fairly thick, like 2.5mm equivalent copper wire. It's fairly tricky to manipulate. Got some pliers.
Lower it down a bit.
Go on. So we've got these wires through. We've extended this one a little bit, and this one here we've extended using quite heavy duty copper wire, which again is making it all a bit tricky. There's a bit of a battle to get it all done, wasn't it, Josh? It wasn't very easy. Probably one of the hardest repots we've done for quite some time. We don't mind working on big trees, little trees, but this one was just awkward, but we got it done. Just going to tie these off now, make it more secure. That's got that side done, that's pretty good. We can just come in, get this tight around this side as well. So it's really good and secure into this new Walsall Studio pot. Definitely not going anywhere, that isn't, is it? And then a little one here as well. Then we can fill in with some more compost. then we need to have a look at covering up these exposed root pockets with some keto and some moss. We haven't got any moss at the moment, it's been really dry recently, so where we've been looking for some we can't find any, but I've got a friend who's got some, knows where there is some. He's going to go and collect some moss tomorrow, and then we can film the end of the video once we get some moss on it. We can show you what we've done. So we're just going to fill it in with some compost now, and we'll be done for today. We can have a little break. Hello, we're back in the studio after a few weeks. First part of this video, we did some work on this rock planting of dwarf Hinoki Cypress, and I ended the video by saying I've got to put some keto, some peat muck on these sections here and some moss around here. You can see where the owner has been watering it, and it's just naturally eroded. So we've got bits of wire exposed that are holding the trees to the rock. We've got bits of roots exposed that are drying out, and it's not giving it much room to grow. So we need to do something about that. We've been a bit waylaid doing this video because when we did that first section a few weeks ago, we were going through quite a bit of a dry spell and a drought. So where I went to find my moss, all the moss has dried up and there wasn't any about. But we've had some rain, we've got some moss. I've not managed to find a lot of sheep moss, but I've got these little balls of moss, which I think are going to be good enough to get some coverage on here. So we're back in here, and in a few weeks, while we've been waiting for the moss to grow, you can see what has been growing. The ferns have been growing. We trimmed these back before we started last time, and now a lot of these have sort of exploded because they've had some moisture to them. So these long ones again just want pruning back because they get a bit out of control up with this one, and they start growing through the plants and that sort of thing. So we're going to get in here, we're going to trim some of these back to tidy it up. But it's been putting some new growth on, it's been doing really quite well, but what we're going to do is show you how to preserve and maintain this sort of section here. So for this, what you would normally do is put some keto suchi with some peat muck on. This is some, we've had a bucket of this for years. This is imported Japanese keto. It's a very sort of sticky, sort of plasticized mud, and you can buy it in bags. A lot of bonsai places sell it, and we've just had a load of it for years. We've not got any small ones for sale recently, but I'm going to show you how to make it anyway. So there's several ways you can do that. You can buy it bagged up like this, or if you need to make something yourself, what you want is something sort of sticky and fibrous so that it doesn't erode as much as a normal sort of compost. So if you're going to make it up yourself, you normally get some sphagnum moss like this, yeah? Normally wet it all down, and you either shred it, or you can get it and just cut it, just trim it into rough sections like that, just like this. Mix it with some peat, and then you can mix a bit of akadama in if you wish. So a lot of people use like akadama dust you can use, so just either a bit of akadama or some shohin akadama, and then also this sort of moss that I've got here. I've scraped this off a roof, and some of these bits are okay, and there's other bits of moss that I scraped off this morning. It's not very pretty moss really. So again, you can get stuff like this. This will help to bind it together, and then we're incorporating moss spores into the keto so that will develop into moss a lot quicker when it's on the tree. So we'll get stuff like that, and then we'll put a little bit of water in it, and we'll mix it together. So this is a mixture of some of the sphagnum moss chopped up, little bits of moss off my kitchen roof at home, a little bit of peat, a little bit of akadama, and it's not quite as sticky as the imported keto, but if you haven't got availability of that, then a little bit of homemade stuff like this is going to work just as well. It is a little bit of a messy job, as you can imagine, I don't want you all coming and taking the moss off my kitchen roof. I'll grow it there especially for me just to use here. So we're going to go over to the group planting and see if we can't use a little bit of this or a little bit of keto, a little bit of moss, and get this side sorted. So there's a few weeds growing in that. You can see where it's eroded here, and there's even some mesh. I mean, I didn't put this planting together, so for some reason there's mesh here, which is probably affixed to the rock, with the idea that the roots can bind into this mesh a little bit. Yeah, but you can see what's happened as that's all eroded away. I want to pack this back out to give it a little bit more 3-dimension. Yeah, we need to cover up this mesh. I'm using a little bit of my homemade mix for this, which probably wants a little bit more kneading and soaking, but you get the idea. That's covering fairly well. Look, push it down into here, and then a little bit more of my homemade mix onto here, like that. And then on top of that, I'm going to use a little bit of the Japanese keto, because that is a little bit more sticky at the moment on this higher section to stop that eroding away, and we'll get a little bit more of the homemade stuff. Just pass us some like that. There we go. And it's all just a matter of trying to, I'm going to mix that a bit with this and sort of daub it on. Get some around this side so we can get a nice section there that this tree can grow into. Otherwise the roots are going to dry out and it's going to struggle a bit more. A little bit of keto here, and then just drift it round, sort of smear it as a top layer here onto here as well. And down through this section, try and knit it all together. It's a bit fiddly, and this is where, if you've got some sheet moss, it helps, but moss is in short supply. This summer we've had some dry spells, and we've had 3 or 4 members of staff looking for some appropriate moss so that we can get this finished and get it back to the owner, and it's just been hard to find. So once we get to this sort of stage, look, I've got some little clumps of moss. It's not exactly sheet moss, but it's better than nothing. And let's just see if we can get that soaked and onto here like this. We can get some bits of wire to hold this on. So I'm going to piece this on like this. And it's just a matter of a little bit of patchwork. Get this nice and wet and all a bit soggy, all a bit messy, and see if we can't just get this sorted along this side. Just a few little hairpins, look, of 1.5mm aluminium. I'm just using them to just pin in, just slide in like this, just to pin some of that moss into place, just to make it a little bit more secure. I suppose if you weren't having to give this back to a customer and they weren't transporting it home, it'd be less of an issue, because you can probably just put it in a greenhouse and wait for this to just establish. But because this is going to be transported, it just makes it a bit more secure for these bits of moss we've put on, just to hold them in like this, like you say there. Look, just starting to piece that up. So I'll just work my way down this section doing that. We've got to do some remedial work in here as well. You can see here this moss is a bit low. This wants building out because this tree hasn't really got anywhere for its roots to grow. You know, it's all right having it on a rock looking like it's been clinging on for life, but we need to keep it alive, and this is going to get worse and this can start to suffer. Particularly these trees higher up dry out quite quick. You know, these here have got the ability to get the roots down into this substrate beneath, but these, it's a lot more difficult for them to do that. So we need to pack all this in so that it's got a bit of growing media and it can pull some moisture from this area. So I'm just going to carry on doing that for a little while. Okay, so we've finished applying the moss to this rock plant. It's a bit of an unusual thing to work on, so I thought we'd show you. And all this was exposed before. We put new keto on it, new moss. We've tidied some of the ferns up. We top dressed it with akadama. So this has had a full overhaul, trim, repot, and then the moss on it to just finish it all off for the new owner, who can hopefully come and pick it up soon, and we can get it returned to their collection back where it belongs. I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of a different video from us, and keep your eye out for more videos coming up very shortly, and take care.